Hello and a warm welcome to the news on NTAi International, reaching you live from Abuja. My name is Obiageli Ugoke, but first we'll bring you the headlines. New Emir Zazzau gets staff of office, pledges to be a father to all. Change of baton at Independent National Electoral Commission as Professor Mahmoud Yakubu steps aside to await Senate confirmation for second tenure. Plus, prospectives call members to undergo COVID-19 test before orientation. Many thanks for joining us, and now the details. Nigerian youth will do well to keep the peace as it is in their own interests ultimately, President Muhammadu Buhari has said. The president spoke at Status Abuja while receiving in audience the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, Nigeria's former Minister of Environment. President Buhari revealed the fact that COVID-19 has shrunk the global economy, noting that this is something no one expected, but which has brought devastation on lives and livelihoods around the world. On climate change, he said Nigeria was concerned about the recharge of the Lake Chad, which has great implications on security, irregular migration, and livelihoods. The Deputy Secretary General said she was on a courtesy call with her team to flag interest on challenges that concern the UN, particularly COVID-19, climate change, security, and humanitarian responses to the diverse challenges. In the meantime, member states and development banks should invest in early warning systems and resilience measures, particularly in states affected by conflict. United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed made a plea in a virtual Security Council debate on the contemporary drivers of conflict and insecurity. Adebola Brooksley Sunday reports.
The impact of COVID-19 pandemic has no doubt shown that in today's world, there is no such thing as a distant crisis.
General Excellency.
Members of the Council exchanged views on the security implications of contemporary drivers of conflicts and insecurity, such as pandemic and environmental challenges, including climate change.
Parties to conflict are taking advantage of the pandemic.
The UN Deputy Scribe said the pandemic has continued to aggravate the risk and drivers of conflicts, adding that grievances and inequalities are deepening and are eroding trusts in authorities and institutions of all kinds, and thus increasing vulnerabilities.
The pandemic has highlighted the necessity of investing in inclusive, equitable governance and institutions, as well as tackling the root causes in order to address the drivers not only of conflict, but of crises and shocks of all kinds. Partnerships will be key, including the international finance institutions, that will be more important than ever for the global response that we need to see to this global crisis.
The Council agreed that countries at greatest risk should now be able to use new technologies and remote sensing to help them with forecasting and prevention from the climate crisis that threatens the very existence of many nations. Adebola Brooksley Sunday, NTA News.
And an update on U.S. election, U.S. President-elect Joe Biden makes his first appointment, naming a group of scientists and experts who will lead his administration's response to COVID-19. However, President Donald Trump is still planning legal challenges to the results in some key states. Justin Bermoni brings us update on the U.S. election.
United States President-elect Joe Biden set up a coronavirus task force in a bid to counter the pandemic in the country, whereby the highest number of fatalities across the world have been recorded. Set to take over the White House in January, Biden will meet an advisory board co-chaired by Vivek Murthy, the former Surgeon General, along with Masera Nones-Smith, Yale University Associate Professor, and David Kessler, the former Commissioner for Food and Drug Administration. As of now, more than 237,000 Americans have lost their lives to the COVID-19 pandemic.
So that's why today I've named a COVID-19 Transition Advisory Board, comprised of distinguished public health experts, to help our transition team translate the Biden-Harris COVID-19 plan into action, a blueprint that we can put in place as soon as Kamala and I are sworn in to office on January 20th, 2021.
Meanwhile, incumbent U.S. President Donald Trump plans to hold a series of campaign-style rallies in an effort to continue the struggle for vote recounts in several key states in the wake of Joe Biden's projected victory in the presidential election. Reports have it that Trump intends to announce the creation of special vote recount teams in Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. In a related development, officials in Moscow, Ankara, and Beijing have declined to comment on the outcome of the U.S. presidential election, saying they will wait for official results before congratulating the winner. In the meantime, at least 9 candidates of Nigerian descent ran for different positions in the just-ended U.S. elections. Final results show 3 of them won, while the others lost to fight another day. A 35-year-old lawyer, Esther Agbaji, won and was elected into the Minnesota House of Representatives to represent District 59B on the platform of the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, an affiliate of the U.S. Democratic Party. Also, a pharmacist, Oye Owolewa, ran on the Democratic Party platform and won to become the first Nigerian-American congressman for the Washington, D.C. District of Columbia. Another Nigerian, Nnamdi Chukwuka, also won a legislative seat, making 3 Nigerian-Americans. Chukwuka, who was elected to represent District 1 of Delaware in the ongoing U.S. general election, was first elected to the Delaware House of Representatives in 2018 after he defeated incumbent Charles Porter Jr. at the Democratic Party primary. Justin Bemuni, NTAi News.
And on global COVID-19 updates, Pfizer and BioNTech COVID-19 vaccines confirmed to be 90% effective, just as EU and UK trade talks resume in London. Over to Uche Ugochukwu on the global updates.
We begin with the news of near victory over COVID-19 as the vaccine being developed by Pfizer and BioNTech has been confirmed to be 90% effective in preventing people from getting the virus. Phase 3 of Pfizer's trial involved 43,538 participants who received 2 doses of either the immunization or a placebo, got 90% protection from the virus within 28 days of having their jabs. U.S. President Donald Trump and President-elect Joe Biden have congratulated Pfizer on the progress of the vaccine. In the meantime, European countries roll out increasing strict coronavirus restrictions as the continent's second wave continues. Hungary's government has proposed a series of tougher lockdown measures. In Italy, where a nationwide curfew is already in place, the Association of Doctors has called for a national lockdown. And Russia reported 21,798 new cases in 24 hours. In all, the coronavirus pandemic has infected 50,921,669 people worldwide and killed 1,264,540, as collated by the Worldometer Coronavirus Dashboard as at 6 p.m. local time. The African Center for Disease Control, on the other hand, reported the continent's total fatality figure as 45,467 from the 1,895,332 positive cases. Meanwhile, Nigeria detected 300 new cases from 5 states and the Federal Capital Territory Sunday, bringing the country's confirmed cases tally to 64,090. Away from COVID-19, Egypt closed polling stations after the conclusion of the second stage of parliamentary elections. The country is now preparing for runoffs scheduled for November and December before the new parliamentarians take the oath of office in January. Elsewhere, EU and UK trade talks have resumed in London, with the officials trying to bridge what the two sides have said are still significant differences on fishing, quotas and competition issues. Boris Johnson had said the outlines of an agreement were clear and a deal was there to be done. But he has insisted the UK is prepared to leave the single market and customs union on 31st December without agreement. That does it from here. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
Many thanks to Uche. And still talking health, the role being played by the media in the fight against COVID-19 is seen as a national duty that must be commended and supported by all stakeholders. This was contained in the advocacy toolkit on COVID-19 system rescue and citizens' action presented to the media. Herman Jabani reports.
The advocacy toolkit is to provide the necessary guidance for systematic process of developing advocacy materials around COVID-19 and their impact on the society. It is to include plan and implementation of political, policy and other levels of actions to mitigate the health and socio-economic impacts of COVID-19, which the media is described as the driving force in the fight. Champion of this, International Society of Media in Public Health and its partners believe that COVID-19 made weak system, hence the media playing the role of change agent and putting across its messages to the public despite lockdown of the economy.
Let's ask how our people at the rural areas are coping with all the protocol, why they are so nonchalant about it. We need, and these are the things we would help even the government, will help even people around. We'll be able to stem the tide of the spread.
It provides a whole range of earnings that as working families, they can get into it, find the messages, find the actions, find the individuals to interview, look at some of the stories that are pending, stories that have been covered and not covered, and how sometimes they can do it.
While the media is ready to continue with the advocacy, government at all levels must be willing and ready to provide necessary data as at when due to avoid doubts and speculations while serving as the bridge builder between government and the citizenry. Hamman Jabani, NTAi News.
Now let's talk more on the developments on U.S. election. Dr. Sharif Gali Ibrahim, Senior Lecturer, Political Science, University of Abuja, now joins us via Zoom to look at latest developments in the U.S. election. Dr. Ibrahim, glad to have you join us. Dr. Ibrahim, can you hear me? Thanks for joining us. President Trump's rejection of the election results, President-elect Joe Biden is already planning for office. What is your impression?
The impression is that from the inception of the elections, as well as the presidency of President Donald Trump, because of his political misdemeanor, we understood that we must not be surprised for him to actually take this particular step of refusal to even concede, defeat in this particular U.S. elections. Right. And it is not his only time, or in his own time, that the United States of America experienced such. In 1801, there was the second American president in person of John Adams, who also refused to concede defeat when he was defeated in that era's elections. So therefore, he has the right to challenge the legitimacy of the results, but Americans have already decided, and I have the conviction that even the Supreme Court will not actually favor Donald Trump. Having looked at the procedures and processes through which the electioneering process actually unfolded and took place, the Americans are very well convinced that the election was conducted in a manner expected by the American people, The only thing is that Donald Trump never thought, he never deemed it possible, though the possibility is there, but he never actually thought that the election results could actually turn to be against him and in favor of Joe Biden. So these are some of the, the situations that are actually unfolding in the United States of America.
All right,
but again,
Dr. Ibrahim.
the Electoral
Dr.
College,
Ibrahim.
which has been the determinant.
Dr. Ibrahim, now talking about the situation, you referred us to a similar situation in 1801, but as it is now, many world leaders are talking to President Trump, including members of his family, to concede defeat. By his nature and as citizens, what are you expecting Trump to do?
I expect Trump, even though there is no expectation for Trump to, as at this particular moment, to actually say that, all right, I'm accepting the defeat, because he has been so determined and resolute to actually appeal or actually go to the Supreme Court in order to seek justice, in what he claimed, to has happened, in the electioneering process. But we that are outside the United States and those who are within the United States are actually satisfied with this particular result. But the campaign team of Donald Trump believe or are certain that there were irregularities, and the Democrat as well as Biden have attempted to steal the vote, against him. So I don't think Trump will come out, even though there are suggestions, given that he should actually concede and accept, the fate of America, and let's keep the democracy running the way it should be. But he's so determined to actually go to the court. Remember, I think Donald Trump had actually predetermined this particular scenario in his appointment of the U.S. Supreme Court judges, about 6 conservative judges, only 3 that are, liberal, so to say. So therefore, he thought that in this particular case, when he gets to the court, he might actually get a favorable judgment. But I don't think so, because the judges have sworn with the Constitution of the United States of America to actually respect it and protect it. So I don't think Donald Trump will be bigger or greater than the Constitution of the United States of America. And I believe that even the Supreme Court will not actually act or judge in Donald Trump's favor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim, for sharing your opinion with us, and a particular point of yours, that democracy should be allowed to run the way it is. Thank you very much once more for coming on NTAi International.
Thank you.
We'll take a break now. When we return, INEC chairman, step aside. Stay with us.
My name is Nando Jamda
Mohammed.
Stedita
Hussein Musa. Roduna Joel Finji. Said Musa. John.
I'm a carpenter. I've been doing this for more than 8 years now.
Ina sai da plantain na kai kimamin shekara 3.
I've been selling my tomatoes for about 10 years now, and I do it for a better Nigeria.
Ina wannan sana'ar lemu ne domin Najeriya ta ci gaba.
Ina sa domin Najeriya ta kyau.
And you can see how we are doing our small little work to make Nigeria great.
As you can see, I'm a technician and I'm doing it to help myself and to help my generation.
Ina zaune ne a plateau na business. Kuma ina yin wannan domin ci gaban ƙasar Najeriya.
This message is from the National Orientation Agency. Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Intel 4G. Intel. Live more.
Thank you for staying tuned. Let's talk about federal government's effort to create more jobs for Nigerian youth. As governments and key players are mapping out ways of cushioning the effects of job losses caused by COVID-19 and wanton destruction of public and private assets during the NTAi violence, Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed has re-emphasized the federal government's commitment to create more jobs for the youth to further check their restiveness. The minister said this in an interview in Lagos. Nosa Osula completes the story.
Unemployment, according to Nigerians, appears to be the root cause of violence in the country. Research suggests that unemployed youths are more likely to be perpetrators as well as victims of crime and violence. Speaking with newsmen on the sideline of the meeting of governors, ministers and traditional rulers of southwest states following the End SARS protest mayhem, the Minister of Information and Culture said that the government would continue to engage the youths and address the issue of poverty.
End SARS protest and the aftermath has actually resetting fundamental issues, and we believe that it's important for the government and the government to actually interact and let's explain to ourselves the circumstances of this unfortunate NSA protest.
The minister added that the government would continue to invest in the development of human capacity with more implementation of economic policies that will engender development and building of more public infrastructure that would empower the teeming youths.
It's not as if the government has not been addressing the issues of youth unemployment. You see, if you look at the newly launched the youth trust fund, it is actually aimed at creating jobs for the youth. It's a 75 billion naira fund. I think in three tiers, but it's supposed to give opportunity to the youth.
Lai Mohammed, however, called for peace while assuring the youths of President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to addressing their demands. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTAi News.
As the National Youth Service Corps NYSC opens its camps nationwide in less than 24 hours, all prospective corps members as well as members of the orientation camp community will have to undergo COVID-19 tests before the commencement of orientation. This took the front burner at an NYSC parley with editors of media establishments in Abuja. Olayin Kojo reports that a total of 66,000 prospective corps members have been mobilized for the 2020 Batch B service year. The reports.
7 months, NYSC orientation camps across the country have been shut down following the outbreak of COVID-19. With everything set for safe reopening of camps, the engagement of media establishments on prevailing issues and measures put in place is why these managers of media information are in this auditorium.
Over the years, objective analysis, criticisms and feedback received from the broad spectrum of the media and our publics have really impacted positively on our capacity to operate as a responsible, responsive, and result-oriented organization.
While assuring that modalities for prevention, detection, prompt response, as well as adherence to COVID-19 protocols have been put in place, Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says no camp will be shut down as a result of anyone testing positive to COVID-19.
We have visited every single camp and made necessary adjustments together with our colleagues to make sure that these camps are as safe as possible. This includes a compulsory screening test that will be carried out for all corps members.
With the NCDC collaboration with the NYSC to ensure that no corps member comes in harm's way, Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Shuaibu Ibrahim, added that plans to enroll corps members into the National Health Insurance Scheme is underway.
The scheme has concluded arrangement with the National Health Insurance Scheme for the enrollment of corps members into the NTAi in line with the Presidential Directive.
In spite of the shutdown of NYSC orientation camps in March, the Director General assured that its credible mobilization process will allow only qualified persons participate in the national call to service. Olayin Kojo, NTAi News.
In another development, the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has handed over to a serving National Commissioner Ahmed Muazu as acting national chairman pending Senate confirmation of his second term in office. Mie Ogidi reports.
Syndicate groups everywhere at the INEC conference hall, and the topic was one. Is the INEC chairman handing over or resuming? But obviously no one was in position to give an answer, not even the spokesman of the commission, Festus Okoye. Camera operators putting their equipment in the best of condition. No excuses for audio failure while waiting for the INEC boss. Few minutes later, Mahmoud Yakubu, the chairman of INEC, in his characteristic manner, with a fun-filled look, arrived and put an end to all speculations.
It will be inappropriate for me to remain in office beyond today, 9th November 2020, without confirmation by the Senate and swearing to another oath of office as provided by law. Pending the conclusion of the statutory process, the remaining national commissioners have resolved that Air Vice Marshal Ahmed Muazu, retired, will oversee the affairs of the commission. It is therefore my pleasure to hand over to him in the interim.
Speculations put to rest. Fresh word from the new man.
I want to assure you all that I will handle the affairs, the routine affairs of the commission with all due diligence. Thank you so much.
That marks the end of the first half of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu's chairmanship in the INEC. Many in their remarks said he played a good one and expect him to even play a better one in his second coming, pending the decision the Senate will take in the confirmation process. While the INEC chairman temporarily stepped aside, another national commissioner, Abubakar Nuachi, resigned voluntarily. Mie Ogidi, NTAi News.
Thank you, Mie. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with accomplished broadcaster, businessman, and philanthropist Otumba Deji Osibogun as he turns 65. The president salutes the man who built a career at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTAi, before becoming a founding member of the Ogun State Television Service, which he helped nurture to stardom. Osibogun then went into business and, having attained economic success, promoted Space FM in Ibadan, Oyo State, thus maintaining his love for broadcasting as an entrepreneur. The president shares the joy of the day with the Osibogun family, the media, particularly the broadcast industry, wishing the Otumba Obaloja of Ijebuland longer life with more accomplishments. And that completes the news on NTAi International. Please remember to connect with NTAi and stand against rape and rapists. I am Obiagelu Goke. Thank you for staying with us.